Welcome to Event 8 in the International Touring Car Championship. From Silverstone, the ITC Circus has travelled back to Germany for its second visit to the Nürburgring. The highlight of the last round was this battle between the Alfa Romeo of Jason Watt and Opel's Alexander Wurz. Despite numerous collisions, Watt held on for his first ever ITC podium finish. The two British drivers weren't so lucky. Dario Franchitti spent most of the weekend going backwards, while Oliver Gavin ended his racing in the gravel. Silverstone was the hottest event of the season so far, and the heat inside the cars became intense. In this exhausting grind, even the drivers' water bottles became too hot to drink.
It's unbelievable, especially when you're racing at a circuit, say at Silverstone, where it was.
Gavin has qualified his Opel on the 9th row of the grid, which gives him plenty to do for today's first race. On pole is the veteran Alessandro Nannini, who needs some good results in his Alfa Romeo if he's to challenge for the championship. Alongside him, Dario Franchitti from Scotland in the Mercedes. Dario's done just about everything this season except win a race.
Been at the front quite a lot, I've been quick, but as I say, things haven't come together, and I hope this weekend is the time when it's all going to happen.
Well, Franchitti obviously likes the circuit here at the Nürburgring. He holds the lap record in the silver Mercedes. Behind him on the grid, row 2, is his Mercedes teammate Bernd Schneider, and then Giancarlo Fisichella in the dark red Alfa. They're coming round now at the end of the rolling start lap. The lights go green, and it's Nannini who takes the lead. Nannini and the Alfa goes ahead. The two Mercedes are following with Franchitti. It is in second place. Schneider is third. That's Fisichella fourth. And in the black Opel, Manuel Reuter, the championship leader, moving into fifth place ahead of Nicola Larini. Very close there between Wurz, who got squashed a little bit, I think, between Ricardo Zonta of Brazil and Uwe Altzen. Franchitti still keeping the pressure on Nannini. Schneider in third place with the queue developing behind Schneider of Fisichella, Reuter, Larini, Nato, Tarquini, Dalmas and Van Ommen. But now Nannini managing to get a little bit of daylight between himself and Dario Franchitti. The two silver Mercedes, second and third. The Alfas, first and fourth. The first Opel is Manuel Reuter, the championship leader, in fifth place as they come sweeping uphill here at the modern Nürburgring, a shadow of the great road circuit up on the hills behind us. And Van Ommen in the black Mercedes having a little look at the inside of Yannick Dalmas's Opel. The battle's going on all the way down the field as they approach now the chicane at the end of the first lap. Still Nannini from Franchitti and Schneider. The Mercedes have slightly more power than the Alfas and the Opels, but the Mercedes two-wheel drive only, and the Alfas getting a lot of grip as they come through that tight chicane. The Opels following through. Somebody clipped the chicane bollard. I think that was Gabriele Tarquini. There's Oliver Gavin down in, what, 20th place now, I would think, as Nannini leads the field down the long start-finish straight at the completion of the first lap. By just 3/4 of a second, Nannini leads from Franchitti. Another half second between Franchitti and Mercedes teammate Schneider. Then it's Fisichella, Reuter and Larini as they come pouring down to the long corner at the end of the lap. And this is travelling with Wurz, and this is when he was squeezed between Zonta and Altzen. And a little bit of bodywork coming off there, I think, but it doesn't seem to have slowed him at all, and he is pressing on. Still, the battle at the front is between Alfa. Oh, and that's somebody going off. That's Tarquini straight on at the chicane. Tarquini apparently nudged by Van Ommen, I think, there. And Yannick Dalmas going through on the inside of Van Ommen on the final right-hander onto the start-finish straight, but Tarquini is still there. And there we see it. Yes, Van Ommen in the black Mercedes just taps the Alfa from behind, trying to get through on the inside. And Tarquini goes right through on the inside. And there's a lot of smoke from somebody. That's Alexander Wurz smoking furiously. I shouldn't think you can see anything inside that car. Look at the onboard camera. And Wurz has stopped the car in the pit lane. He's safely out of the car. I would think he's definitely out of the race. Very much still in the race. Alessandro Nannini in the Alfa, leading from the two Mercedes of Franchitti and Schneider. Then it's Fisichella, Reuter and Larini with that 5-car group breaking away with an Alfa at the front of it and an Opel, the championship leading Opel at the back. Leto, Dalmas, Tarquini and Van Ommen down to 10th place. Already the bollards at the chicane are taking real punishment. And there's a white Mercedes off. It's Ricardo Zonta, the Brazilian, in the car, usually driven by Jan Magnussen. He's in the gravel. Here he goes in the replay. Looks as though he did it all by himself. And his first ITC drive has come to an ignominious end. And that's an Alfa off. That looks like Tarquini. Tarquini is off in the gravel. And here's the replay. Look at Ludwig coming down the inside. Ludwig elbows Tarquini out of the way. Tarquini spins onto the gravel and out of the race. So a slightly brave move there by Ludwig, and that's a brave move by Reuter, and a beautifully executed move, because Reuter has gone neatly through the inside of Fisichella. Reuter, the championship leader, is now 4th. It's an Alfa at the back of this group as well as at the front. Nannini still leading, then the 2 Mercedes, then Reuter now 4th, and Fisichella is down to 5th. And let's see it again, a superb move by Reuter. He leaves his braking absolutely late. He's 4 square on the inside, little bit of opposite lock under braking, and he's through and into 4th place. Here's the leader once more. And behind Dario Franchitti, I think that Bernd Schneider is getting a little bit impatient in the second of the 2 silver Mercedes, because it's Schneider who is the team leader, the number 1 car, and he's going to have a go at Dario Franchitti. He's coming down on the inside, and is he through? He's not. Oh, Franchitti slammed the door on his teammate in no uncertain manner there, and Bernd Schneider has to drop back into 3rd place once more. So Franchitti determined to hold on to his 2nd place despite all the efforts of his team leader Bernd Schneider, and that's allowed Manuel Reuter in 4th place to close on the 2 Mercedes. There's a bollard in the middle of the road at the chicane, which nobody seems to be doing anything at all about, and Fisichella slipping away as Reuter puts the pressure on Bernd Schneider, and Schneider's going to get very anxious to get past Dario Franchitti and have a go at the leading Alfa Romeo. Franchitti now quite clearly is holding up Bernd Schneider just a little bit. The gap between Nannini and Franchitti has gone up to 1.2 seconds. Reuter still 3rd, Fisichella still 5th, Larinia distant 6th. And now once more Schneider is having another look. We're seeing a replay of what happened. And look at Franchitti shut the door on him when Schneider is almost alongside in the braking area. Schneider very nearly losing control of the car, but he gathers it all together again, and Schneider's gone by. Schneider is 2nd now. Schneider has gone past. We didn't see it happen, but with Nannini still in front, it's now Bernd Schneider 2nd for Mercedes. Here's a replay. This is when it happened. Oh, and I think that time Franchitti kept well out of Schneider's way. Looked like a bit of team orders there. We'd had a stop for Klaus Ludwig, and that was a stop-go penalty, I think, because Ludwig quite clearly pushed Tarquini off. There's a stop for Hans Stuck. Fresh rubber, it seems, for the man who won both the races in Helsinki, but he hasn't been going particularly well here today, and perhaps the rubber will sort out his handling problems. Now look at Schneider. Schneider, having got past his teammate into 2nd place, is all over the leader Nannini. He's challenging him. He's right in his boot. He's right in the slipstream as they come into the fast downhill right-hander. Schneider going for the lead. Nannini hanging on, weaving from one side to another in the braking area. Takes a tight line into the chicane. Keeps the door shut on Bernd Schneider. Still, it's Franchitti 3rd, it's Reuter 4th. And we're coming into the long final corner, coming up to the start-finish line once more. The 4-car battle for the lead. Nannini, Schneider, Franchitti and Reuter. Look how close they're going to the bollards in the chicane. You couldn't put a knitting needle in between the front right-hand wheels. That's Norbert Haug of Mercedes watching the progress as they go into the final lap of his man Bernd Schneider. Pretty clear that Dario Franchitti was told to get out of Schneider's way after the 2 of them touched. Franchitti, headlights on, holding back in 3rd place. Reuter looking a little bit threatening in the black Opel, the championship leader, in 4th place, looking for a podium finish, looking for this 3rd place. if he could get past Franchitti. But the man who's really trying to put the pressure on is Bernd Schneider, but I think he's shot his bolt because Nannini has eased away. There was half a second as they crossed the start and finish line last time. It looks a little bit more than that now. Schneider gathering himself for a final effort. Reuter gathering himself for a final effort on Franchitti. Nannini's Alfa, Schneider's Mercedes. There's Franchitti's Mercedes and the black Opel of Manuel Reuter. Leto, Dalmas, Van Ommen, Kurt Tim, Bernd Mailander and Uwe Altzen down to 12th place. But it's the two-car battle for the lead and the two-car battle for third place that the crowd are on their feet to see. The checkered flag is waiting. It's still Alessandro Nannini for Alfa Romeo versus Bernd Schneider, last year's champion for Mercedes-Benz, and they're coming down now into the final chicane. Still that bollard in the road. The checkered flag is waiting at the end of the long right-hander down here beneath us. They come into it. Schneider has a look at the inside. Nannini has the door firmly shut. They go for the finish line. It's going to be Nannini in the Alfa Romeo. Alessandro Nannini wins. Bernd Schneider is second for Mercedes. Third for Mercedes is Dario Franchitti. There's Norbert Haug with a little smile for second and third place. But the winner is the Alfa Romeo of Alessandro Nannini. There's the other Alfa of Nicola Larini finishing sixth, ahead of JJ Leto and Yannick Dalmas. So there is Giorgio Pianta, who is beside himself with delight, the Alfa Romeo team boss. It's Alessandro Nannini's third ITC win for Alfa Romeo this year. Oliver Gavin, incidentally, coming home in 16th place, and as the mechanics work on their cars for race 2, we'll take a short break. Rolling lap for race 2 with Bernd Schneider now on the front row alongside race 1 winner Alessandro Nannini. Dario Franchitti in the silver Mercedes on the second row with Manuel Reuter. The lights go green, and once more it's Nannini who takes the lead. The two Mercedes are on his tail once more. Is it Schneider? It is. It's Schneider coming down on the outside, having an attack on Nannini, but Nannini has the inside line. It's Nannini leading from Schneider. In third place, as somebody goes very wide, that's Ellen Law in the blue and green Mercedes going wide at the back, but it's Franchitti third, it's Manuel Reuter fourth, it's Giancarlo Fisichella in the Alfa in fifth place. Behind him, the red and white Alfa of Nicola Larini as they come past the waving crowds. Now we're on board with Christian Danner. He's chasing Sandy Grau. He's on the inside of Strysek's Opel. They're so close as they go down the hill to that right-hander, but Christian Danner has the inside line, leaves his braking late. He's past the Opel. He's almost in the boot of Sandy Grau's Mercedes. Back at the front, Nannini, Schneider, Franchitti, Reuter, Fisichella. Then it's JJ Leto ahead now of Nicola Larini and Jorg van Ommen, and that Alfa of Nannini once more in a repeat of the first race has Bernd Schneider almost in his back window. Schneider wasn't able to beat the Alfa in race 1. He's now got another opportunity here at the Nürburgring in race 2. They come through the chicane once more, cutting it so close to those bollards. They've replaced the bollards since race 1. I wonder how much longer they're going to last. Oliver Gavin down there in the traffic, but as they come over the start-finish line to complete the first lap, Nannini, Alfa, Schneider, Mercedes, Franchitti, Mercedes, Reuter, Opel, Fisichella, Alfa. 2/5 of a second between leader Nannini and second man Schneider, about 7/10 of a second between Schneider and his Mercedes teammate Dario Franchitti, and now we're riding with Ellen Law. This was her moment on the first corner, positive lock, opposite lock. Somehow she just keeps it on the tarmac and keeps off that deep gravel which can really bog you down, but that dropped her to the tail of the field, and meanwhile Nannini has dropped Schneider. About 1.6 seconds now between Nannini and Schneider. Nannini has been able to open a little gap. He's breathing slightly more easily, but it's Dario Franchitti now who's pushing Schneider, and there in fourth place Manuel Reuter is being pushed very, very hard by Giancarlo Fisichella, who is fifth. We've got a 5-car battle for the lead, or rather a 4-car battle for second place. Leto seventh ahead of Van Ommen, Dalmas and Kurt Tim. And Fisichella is pushing very, very hard on Manuel Reuter. Reuter, remember, is the championship leader, the man in the black Opel. He's stuck behind the two silver Mercedes, and he's being pushed very hard. by that Alpha of Fisichella. Clearly the Alphas are very, very good on this circuit. Here's a midfield battle. The orange Alpha of Bartels leading Jason Watt. There's Oliver Gavin, with Oliver Gavin being pushed hard by Hans Stuck and Klaus Ludwig in the yellow Opel at the back. Ludwig, of course, started from the back of the grid after his penalty in the first race here at the Nürburgring, working his way through the traffic as a result of that. But look at Oliver Gavin trying to find a way past Jason Watt's white Alpha. As Bartels moves away a little bit, it's Watt holding up the queue. They're clipping the apexes, getting as tight as they possibly can. Bartels, Watt, Gavin, Stuck, there's Hans Stuck and Ludwig. And now as they go, oh, and Gavin waves, you could see him give a signal there. He waved Hans Stuck on. A little bit of Opel team tactics there, I think. Oliver Gavin clearly pulled over and waved both Hans Stuck and Klaus Ludwig by. So Gavin now tucks in the slipstream, following the two of them as the lead battle goes on. But Alessandro Nannini has moved away a little bit from the two Mercedes of Schneider and Franchitti. Still Manuel Reuter in the black Opel is fourth. Still Fisichella in the red Alpha is in fifth place ahead of Leto and Larini. But it's looking like another Alpha victory. And off go Gavin and Jason Watt. Oliver Gavin and Jason Watt are in the gravel. They're out of the race. There's Oliver Gavin shaking his head in disbelief, undoes his seatbelt, clambers out of the blue and white Opel, and away from the white Alpha trots a perturbed Jason Watt, the Dane. They're both out. I don't know quite what happened there. Well, now we see it. Oliver Gavin goes inside Watt. Watt goes off to the left of the road, but Gavin's through. What happened? Well, what happened was that Watt came back on and clouted him in the side, and they're both spinning way off the track. That's Giorgio Pianta, who doesn't seem to be too upset. But there is a very upset Oliver Gavin trudging home. And Nannini now has a 3.3 second lead over Bernd Schneider. Dario Franchitti in the second Mercedes, about another half second down, and a further second in arrears is Manuel Reuter ahead of Giancarlo Fisichella. And all the bollards on the apex of the chicane have gone. They're all driving straight over the apex. Van Ommen, Dalmas, Altsen pushing Dalmas very hard indeed. In fact, they're side by side as they come into that left-hander, and Altsen gets Dalmas. Uwe Altsen in the yellow Opel passes Dalmas in the white Opel. Dalmas gives him a little nudge just as he goes by to be going on with. And meanwhile, Giancarlo Fisichella has passed Manuel Reuter, and Reuter under real pressure now from Nicola Larini in the red and white Alpha. Fisichella has gone by the championship leader into fourth place, and Nicola Larini, who is sixth in the red and white Alpha, is pushing Reuter very, very hard indeed. Reuter clearly the championship leader at the moment, but he's not going to earn as many points today as he would like. And look at Fisichella. This is how it happened. Fisichella got inside him, but only just on the tight right-hander leading onto the start-finish straight. And now Reuter is fighting back. Reuter has a look at the outside of Fisichella, leaves his braking very late. The car weaves around under braking, and that allows Nicola Larini to get a little run on Reuter. Reuter under real pressure now. Fisichella fourth, Reuter fifth, Larini sixth. The two Mercedes still ahead of them, second and third. The other red and white Alpha of Alessandro Nannini comfortably in the lead. And Reuter's off! Reuter, a big spin going into the chicane. Larini avoids him, and the other team managers watching, but there is Reuter stationary, broadside across the road, and I think he had a definite tap there from Nicola Larini. Larini, with his wheels locked up, black lines of rubber on the tarmac, clouted the back of the black Opel of Manuel Reuter, just missed it as it went back onto the road. And as we see it from all angles, that is the end of Reuter's drive for today, I think. That promotes Nicola Larini, although some might say unfairly, to fifth place, as Alessandro Nannini continues to lead the two Mercedes, and Giancarlo Fisichella gets a tremendous late spurt. Fisichella is on the tail of the number two Mercedes of Dario Franchitti. Four cars still in this leading group in the closing stages in the autumn sunshine here at the Nürburgring. A lot of dust and dirt on the track, particularly at the chicane, which has more muck on the surface than it has bollards to describe the shape of the corner. And the Mercedes putting in a late charge. Alessandro Nannini is being caught now, and it's a pure four-car group for the lead. Nannini, Schneider, Franchitti, Fisichella, that's the top four. Manuel Reuter, the championship leader, out of the race, which means that the championship points become all the more significant. This is the final lap. They come into the long right-hander, and Nannini is clear. It's going to be Nannini's second win of the afternoon here at the Nürburgring. Alessandro Nannini wins for Alfa Romeo twice in one day at the Nürburgring. Bernd Schneider is second twice for Mercedes-Benz. Dario Franchitti third. There's the delighted Giorgio Pianta. But what a great day for Alessandro Nannini and Alfa.
So the first race I had a big problem with the oversteer after 4 or 5 laps. For the second race we give more aerodynamic, just a little more camber over the rear, and the car was faster, and at the beginning I pushed a lot, and the first 15 laps I got 3-4 seconds, then I keep.
And with Reuter failing to finish the second race, his championship lead is cut to 32 points, and Dario Franchitti moves up to third place in the table. Well, from Germany, we're off to the only French ITC round on the Grand Prix circuit at Magny-Cours. We'll see you there.
And the international touring cars are back in action next Sunday at 20 to 4.